My favorite thing about being my type is that I feel like I can justify overthinking. The hardest thing about my type is that I overthink. I took an Enneagram test, but honestly, I didn't really want to be a 5. When you look at all the different names of the types, it didn't sound that cool. And so it was kind of challenging for me to accept that I was a 5, even if it described a lot of the ways that I think and act accurately. I do feel like I've had times where I feel like I missed a day of human orientation, like I'm not sure how to act in certain social situations. And I think learning about the Enneagram has helped me realize that people see things in different ways and our brains work in different ways, and there's no right or wrong, it's just different. I have a 4 wing, which I think helps me be a creative problem solver and look outside the box. My 4 wing also means that sometimes I have high expectations of others. I wish people knew that I wasn't always serious. I really do like to have fun, and I think I have a pretty good sense of humor. So I'm a social worker at a hospital, and I feel like part of my job is to question why things are the way they are and some of the injustices around that, and bring that to people's attention, which is challenging but also really rewarding.
You may have noticed that we only heard from one 5 today. I promise I know more than one, but when I pitched this project to the other 5s and I told them it would involve sharing their thoughts and feelings and experiences with people they didn't know, I got a lot of very polite no thank yous. So a big thank you to my friend Danielle for taking one for the team, and also a thank you to the other 5s in my life for contributing to this project by talking with me one-on-one. 5s seek clarity. They are perceptive and able to easily synthesize and compartmentalize complex ideas. 5s delight in learning new things and testing their knowledge against reality. More than any other type, the 5s want to live in their heads. This is the only space where they can be undisturbed. It's also where they store up knowledge and explore things in detail. 5s are brilliant analysts and intellectuals, and they're driven to be independent and self-sufficient and move through life gathering every piece of knowledge that they can. They are collectors of ideas and thoughts and data, and the empty space for processing them. Most 5s are introverts. By nature, they are monks and hermits and bookworms and librarians and technical sticklers. They tend to hate words like share and communicate. As soon as a demand to do one of these things is made in a group, most 5s will kind of draw the internal shades and begin extracting themselves from the whole business. Otherwise, 5s listen to what others say. Nothing escapes their attention. So we talked about the gut center and the heart center, and now we're going to talk about the head center. 5s are in the head center with 6s and 7s, and this means that their control tower isn't instinct or emotion, but in their mind. Head types tend to substitute thought for authentic contact with reality, withdrawing from others in their own unique ways. In every situation, they first take a step back to reflect and think things over before they act. The common experience of head types is fear, and 5s react to that by retreating into their mind and minimizing their own needs. They need to master something to feel safe, and they tend to observe their surroundings from a distance in order to make a clear analysis of the situation. Because of this tendency to observe, many great philosophers were 5s. Plotinus, Thomas Aquinas, Bonaventure, Descartes, Spinoza, Feuerbach, Heidegger, Popper, and more. They lived and observed the world, for the most part, from a proverbial ivory tower in their head. According to Richard Rohr, some biblical patrons of the 5s are Mary, the mother of Jesus, the Apostle Thomas, and Zacchaeus the tax collector. Mary embodies the receptiveness and the contemplative side of 5s. This is usually found in 5s with a 4 wing. At the end of the Christmas story, it's reported that the shepherds told everything they had heard, but Mary kept all these things, pondering them in her heart. And while some Christian traditions see Mary as a spiritualized, untouched, and untouchable virgin without flesh and blood. Other schools of thought, including the more earthbound Latin American liberation theology, see Mary's more assertive qualities. For instance, telling Jesus to turn water into wine to keep a party from derailing. These traditions see Mary as a woman with 8-like qualities, which could make sense as 8 is 5's growth point. The Apostle Thomas, who is best known, of course, as the post-resurrection skeptic and our church's namesake, is another good example of 5. After Lazarus dies, Jesus tells his disciples that he wants to go to the grave, and Thomas then says to the others, "Well, let us also go, that we may die with him." This kind of nihilistic resignation and detachment can be a shadow side of 5's. Thomas's skepticism after Easter continues even after he sees the risen Jesus. The same Jesus who told Mary Magdalene, who was probably a 2, not to cling to him, demands that Thomas, the intellectual, get out of his own head and make physical contact with the body of the risen Messiah. Marian Kustenmacher, who is a German writer, discovered Zacchaeus as a prototypical 5, a tax collector who collaborated with occupying Roman forces to exploit the citizenry. Zacchaeus greeted Jesus' arrival to Jericho by climbing into a tree to see the famous rabbi. This hiding place offered several advantages. He could see without being seen. He had a literal bird's eye view, and he could avoid bodily contact with the masses. But Jesus discovered him anyway, stopping beneath the tree and calling up to Zacchaeus, "Make haste and come down, for I must stay at your house today." Jesus was doing something that 5's really do not like. He tracked Zacchaeus down, he called attention to him, and he invited himself to Zacchaeus' house. However, this transgression of Zacchaeus' comfort zone and boundaries is what made for Zacchaeus' redemption. He took Jesus in, and the encounter transformed his life. By the end of the account, the tax collector was capable of letting go all that he had hoarded. He became capable of giving and celebrated with a great feast with his colleagues. Jesus set him free from his own egocentricity and isolation. We can find other examples of 5's in some fictional or famous characters. Sherlock Holmes, David Byrne of the Talking Heads, René Descartes, Albert Einstein, Joe Didion, and Annie Leibovitz are all 5's. We've described 5 in broad brushstrokes, but remember, each Enneagram type contains variations. 5's teach us the value of reflection and the pursuit of knowledge. Their example can inspire us to step outside our feelings and see our experiences and the world in a more objective way. Thank God for 5's. Join us tomorrow as we explore the next point on the Enneagram, 6, the loyalist. In the meantime, check out the resources for 5 that we've provided in the newsletter and in the description below. See you tomorrow.